Good evening, good evening. It is Monday, the 27th of February, 2023. I hope you can hear me. Strange things are happening on my feed at the moment. I don't know if this is going through. I don't know if it's peaking. It looks like it's peaking like a motherfucker. Sorry, not supposed to swear in the first few seconds. Although, I've been broadcasting for 10 minutes, so it should be all right. Hi, welcome to The War on Error. I'm Graham Hughes. This is The War. Not The War. Or a war, really. It's just a turn of phrase. It's just an expression. Don't worry too much about it. Anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. Just a big shout out to John Barleycorn, to Young Ralph, to Reagan Elite, to Duke Vengeance. Oh, John Barleycorn's not feeling so good. That's not good. To David is also there as well. And Patrick McCarthy and number 3, just in time. Yes. Well, you're just going to turn off. Sorry for keeping everyone waiting. In about 2 hours and 45 minutes, I'm going to turn 44 at midnight tonight. And so today, one of the kids was off school with a baker day, or an inset day, as the kids are calling them since the 90s. And then tomorrow, both the kids are off school because of strikes. Yay! So actually, the Tory government's done me a bit of a favour because it means I get to spend my birthday with my stepdaughters. So we're gonna go bowling. Hell yeah! Anyway, so because we can. And so Cathal, hello, evening all, says Cathal. What the hell is going on? Says Patrick McCarthy. That is a really, really good question. What the hell is going on? Well, I like to think of it as we have just taken our first step on the road back, the long road back to sanity. It's taken a long time, and we've got it. Actually, in terms of global issues and things like that, it's only taken 7 years for us to start clawing our way back to sanity, which isn't too bad, really, when you think about it, because, the Second World War took 6 years. The First World War took 4 years. The Second World War took 6 years. Britain beginning to get its sanity back took the best part of 7 years. But, it is a long road ahead of us. This is the first step along a long fucking road. Okay, some things to bear in mind. First of all, we have now got a deal with the EU that hasn't been accompanied by our leaders or our leader making out like we have won this amazing concession from the EU, because we really fucking haven't. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that responding to a question from Alison McGovern this evening in the House of Parliament, Rishi Sunak said explicitly that we will not be leaving the European Court of Human Rights and the European Convention on Human Rights, which are not part of the EU. That's the European Court of Justice, ECJ. It's easy to get them mixed up, I know. But we're not leaving that, because that underpins the Good Friday Agreement. So we have to stay in it to keep the Good Friday Agreement going. So the EU has shown a little bit, I guess, of a conciliatory tone. But also, Britain has stopped behaving like fucking hooligans and actually started to act like grown-ups for a change that actually need to get a deal done. And the deal that's been done is all right. It's all right. It's not too bad for Northern Ireland. God knows what the DUP are going to make of it. I don't give a fuck what the DUP are going to make of it, because they're idiots. They'll probably make a hat or a pterodactyl or a brooch. But yeah, it is all a little bit embarrassing. And it's just sad that it's taken this long for a little bit of sanity to come back to the Tory party and therefore the country as a whole. And it has been a bit of a hole of a country, as in an arsehole or a dark hole that you throw your enemies in that has vipers and lava at the bottom. I don't know how the vipers deal with the lava. They just do. They sit on rocks in the lava, which don't bend, and it's all good. That's a true story. So, a couple more of your messages. Sorry, what is going on here? I'm getting lots of things coming through. Oh, sorry. All your messages just came up on my screen all at once. So, happy birthday. That's from David. 44, ooh, you young'uns, says John Barleycorn. 44, mate, I'm so old. I'm so old. My bones are creaking. My hair's going grey, not just the ones on my head. And I'm getting older. Getting older! I was asked last week what my skincare regime was. I don't have any skincare regime, except I don't shave unless I really have to trim my beard, which isn't really shaving. I don't smoke. I don't take drugs. I don't have children of my own. It all works. It all works. Believe me. But yeah, age is but a number, says Duke Vengeance. Yeah, all the fours 44. That is one hell of a number. The system sucks, hence the insanity. So yeah, I thought by now, by the time I hit my mid-40s, I would be, making movies. I'll be making or at least writing them. I've got so many stories that I want to tell. I've written all these scripts, and I really honestly thought that at the end of my travels to every country in the world, in which I was thrown in jail twice in Africa, I almost fucking died a bunch of times. It's a pretty fucking dangerous thing to do. Pretty ballsy. No one had done it before, so no one knew whether it could be done. And I did it and came home and went, ta-da! And that was 10 years ago. And at the end of January, I came back to the UK on January 31st after ticking off my last country, which was Russia, which I had to return to because my first trip to Russia wasn't seen as official because I didn't go through an official border point. I waded over the river Narva in Estonia, on the border of Estonia and Russia. I didn't really want to go to Russia. I didn't really want to pay a load of money for a visa. I was just like that. Anyway, but I remember getting back, and I got back on the bus into Victoria coach station, and there was no one there to greet me. This was after I arrived triumphantly back the month before, and in December, and taking the ferry across the Mersey back into Liverpool, and it was all, all my friends, a bunch of my friends and family turned up to meet me, and it was great, and there was cake and champagne and all that kind of stuff. When I actually finished my journey, because I had to go back to Russia a month later, it was just me. I remember sitting there on the tube train, just like on my own, just like, okay, I'm back. I'm back. Hey, no one cares. No one knows who I am. Anyway, but I thought that after doing 7 TED Talks and talking at Thinking Digital and talking at the Telegraph Adventure Show and doing talks at universities and top schools around the country, including fucking, Eton. Yeah, I've been to Eton. I didn't attend it, but I actually went and gave a talk in Eton about my travels. Yeah. I thought that doors would open to me. But I hadn't counted on the fucking British class system, and I really fucking should have done. And when I look at it now, you look back on your life and you think, I should have done that a bit differently. Probably should have not put that I went to Sudan down on that application to get an ESTA to travel through America on the way home from Panama back in 2016, because had I not done that, I wouldn't be effectively banned from going to America, which made a lot of American production companies just look at me and go, well, no, we're not going to take you because it's going to be too difficult for us to get you a working visa here because you're on a blacklist of some sort, I guess. And yeah, I wish I'd gone to a private school, because then I probably would have been able to make a show about bees in my back garden. Yeah, there's a show on Channel 4, BBC 4, sorry, and it's this posh lady who keeps bees in her back garden. Fucking bees. Bees. She must have rang up the BBC and said, hello. And they went, oh, hi, you sound posh. She's like, yeah, no, I am. I'm having bees in my back. I want bees. What? I'm going to have bees in my back garden. Yeah, I got a lovely back garden. Stately home, And they went, okay. And they made a whole fucking they made a whole series about this posh woman who has bees. I was watching it on BBC 4, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, seriously? Never mind. Anyway, but yeah, be more posh. This is funny when you think about all the people who get to make travel shows in the UK. Like, honestly, they're all privately educated. Except for Simon Reeves, who has to go to fucking Afghanistan and Iraq and Somalia and shit to make a TV show. Before they allow him to make a TV show, he's like, can I go somewhere nice? Like, no, we saved that for the posh kids. Where do you want to go? We're going to take you to a fucking war zone. You can go to Syria if you like. Or Libya. How about that? Let's just nip it to... And the one other time that a statey like myself got to make a travel show in the UK, what did they call it, boys and girls? Say it along with me. An Idiot Abroad. Wow. Sorry, it's my birthday at midnight, so I'm being a bit reflective. But never mind. Right, back into your comments. Right, we've got someone actually talking about politics, which is why I'm supposed to be here. Duke Ventures is saying, because if those clowns voted for Theresa May's deal, if those clowns had voted for Theresa May's deal 2 years ago, the disaster of Truss and Boris could have been avoided. I don't know. I don't know if they could have done, because the ERG would have stopped it. The ERG and the DUP would have said, no, we're not having this. No. Well, which they did. But I mean, like, they there's no way they would have been happy with it. The only way they've got this through is that the Tories are on their absolute arse. And that's the only reason why they've got this through, because they have to. They don't want to, but they have to. Just in time. Northern Ireland surely getting an assembly back. I fucking hope so. Well, one of the clever things about this agreement that's been agreed today, I hope you know more about it than I do, as you probably do. Right, so basically, we have this problem that the EU has its own rules, and then you got the UK that said, I want to not be part of these rules anymore, and the EU said, okay, but if you want to sell us stuff, it has to go through customs to make sure it abides by our rules. Okay, now they have rules about electronics, they have rules about white goods, electronics, they have rules about all kinds of stuff coming into the EU. It's got to meet a certain standard, and then it gets a little CE mark, and then it can come into the EU. Good stuff. But what we wanted to do in the UK is make substandard shite and be able to sell it in Northern Ireland. Now, if we do that, and it gets out of Northern Ireland, it can get into the EU, as a lot of cheap knockoff Chinese products did a few years ago, for which we had to pay an almost £2 billion fine. Yeah, they kept that kind of quiet. Earlier this month, Britain paid a £2 billion fine to the EU for flooding it with cheap knockoff Chinese goods. True story. And that was when we were still part of the fucking EU. Trustworthy. Yeah. Anyway, so the problem is that there can't be a border on the island of Ireland, because that would destroy the Good Friday Agreement, which says there can be no physical border on the island of Ireland. The idea with this is, if you are Irish, you can feel Irish. If you're Northern Irish and you want to feel Irish, you can have an Irish passport and travel around your country, travel around your island. If you want to feel British, you can have a British passport and you can travel around the Great Britain if you get a ferry or a plane or you swim. And if you want both passports, you can have both passports. It's fine. But you're not supposed to feel like you're going to another country when you go to that country. So obviously physical borders on the island of Ireland would negate that. They would stop that from being the case and create problems going forward. So they came up with the Good Friday Agreement, and then when we pulled out of the EU, there was a big problem because we couldn't put a border on the island of Ireland. We had different regulatory alignments, let's say. And so it was decided to put the border in the North Sea. That was something that Boris Johnson put there. Boris Johnson lied his fucking arse off to everybody and said there wouldn't be a border in the North Sea. There'll be a border in the Irish Sea. Sorry, the border in the Irish Sea would be over his dead body. That's what he said. The little fucker's still alive, unfortunately. Damn. But the case remains that he fucking lied, and we put a border in the Irish Sea, which meant that any goods coming from Great Britain, the island of Great Britain, over to the island of Ireland, whether it was going to Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland, had to be checked on the way in. So now they've dialed back some of the checks. Basically, there's a green lane to say nothing to declare, and there's a red lane to say, oh, well, this might be a bit dicey, depending on whether it could be sold in the EU or whether it's definitely for domestic use. So basically, what the Tory governments are cheering about today is the fact that they've managed to almost get away, sussed out of being able to move goods around our own country freely. When you say it like that, it's so fucking mad, isn't it? So fucking what? Yeah, that's what they're celebrating, because the Boris Johnson cunt, right, and his stupid shit, he basically, yeah, he sold our country down the river because he is nuts. Anyway, he thinks he's coming back. He thinks he's making a comeback. He does. Oh dear, I hope not. Files compañeros, mi adorable perirojo. Pelirrojo in Spanish is ginger in Spanish. Yes, I know that. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, David. I'm sorry I was late. Busy sorting out some Wi-Fi switches that went offline. I was a bit late as well, Mad Monk, for two reasons. One, I forgot my mouse. And two, I was watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom at the girls, and it basically finished at 3 minutes past 9. So, yeah, sorry about that. I ran down. It's not the best one, but it's not the worst anymore. People don't care about you. The Tories agreeing to do what they promised to do is apparently news. It is indeed. The system sucks, hence the insanity. Indeed. Great regime, Graham, stay moist. What? Oh, you talking about my face. Graham, you're still a handsome lad. Thank you very much. It's not the age, it's the mileage from Spank Flaps. It's one of my favourite lines. It's very true in my case. Oi cunt, I'm in Butland. It's hell on earth. Have a great show. Oh, I'm so sorry, Wayne. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I will though. I wish I'd been born a descendant of William the Conqueror. I'd watch an Attenborough programme about bees, if you may well know. Yeah, but Attenborough is a statey. As there were a lot of really famous people from the 20th century, like Richard Burton and Anthony Hopkins and Richard Harris and obviously Sean Connery, Michael Caine, the Sex Pistols. But the guy playing Jonesy in the Sex Pistols TV show Pistol is actually privately educated, which I think, because obviously I'm obsessed with this, but I think it just sums up everything that I hate about the private school system. So you have someone playing a Sex Pistol, the quintessential working class band, and the guy playing him went to a fucking private school. Does anyone else think that's wrong? Does anyone else see that as a posh person doing pleb face? a privately educated person doing statey face or what? I mean, it's just, mate, it's just not good. Anyway, yes, you reading this comment, you better like this stream. I do like this stream, I'm doing it. Luke Conley says, Graham, do you know anyone from the Cool Zone Media Group? They do. I don't know. Bunch of bastards behind the bastards and a bunch of other podcasts. I don't know. I don't really listen to podcasts. We went to see the new Ant-Man movie yesterday, Quantumania. It's all right. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's not one of the worst. It's not one of the best. But I had to laugh because it was one of the few subtitle showings. Something that I mentioned a lot is that my partner's deaf, and it makes it very difficult for me to go to the cinema, which is incredibly frustrating because I like going to the cinema. We were laughing because just before the film came on, there was an advert which didn't have subtitles for Audible. Yeah, Audible. The podcast thing. Audible. On a screening of a film that's got subtitles for the deaf. Anyway, I don't need sensitivity training, says every white male. I remember a gardening show with a middle-class woman named Bunty. I was not born into that bracket, but I do know which end of the shovel to shape up the crap with. I'm Bunty. I heard a very posh woman scolding her young son. She told him off for being kind. She said kindness is a weakness. Fucking hell, Plum Duff. That's really bad. Oh my God. Happy birthday tomorrow, Graham, you legend. Thank you very much, Plum. She was training her offspring to perpetuate the line, indeed. Irish Sea, not North Sea. Yeah, I got that, Wayne. Sorry, I corrected myself before I read your comment, but thank you for being... It's part of the North Sea. It's part of the Atlantic, technically. I'm old enough to remember Glasnost and the Israeli-Palestine peace agreement. In the 90s, it felt like things were better. Enter George W. Bush. Yeah. George W. Bush, whose campaign for becoming president, which he lost. He only won because his brother happened to be the governor of Florida and basically made it so they didn't count all the votes. He might have won by a whisker if they had bothered to count all the votes. But one of the other mad things about George W. Bush and the fact that he became president, the accidental president, I think he was called by Time magazine, is that so much of the money that funded his run for becoming president was paid for by the CEO of Enron. Was it Enron? Yeah, it was Enron. Enron. Was it Enron? Or was it the Lehman Brothers? I can't remember. It's one of them. One of those evil companies. Yes, Kenneth Lay. That's him. Kenneth Lay, who was the chief of Enron, and he was indicted. Oh no, hang on, no, that was somebody else. No, it wasn't him. Maybe it wasn't. Oh yeah, major electricity, natural gas. That sounds about right. They bought up the electricity grid in, like, I don't know, fucking California, and basically just like turned it off now and again so they could charge more for stuff. I get mixed up between the Lehman Brothers and Enron though. The Enron scandal. I'm trying to see if who the guy was who was indicted and actually went to jail. Jeffrey Skilling. Yes. In 2006, he was convicted on federal felony charges relating to Enron's collapse and eventually sentenced to 24 years in prison. He actually got out of prison a couple of years ago, and he's trying to get into business again, apparently. But yeah, he was, this guy, Jeffrey Skilling, look him up. He was a huge contributor to George W. Bush's election fund. And if it hadn't been for him stealing money off people, we might not have had George W. Bush. A criminal who put a completely incapable president in charge. In the year 2000, he took over in January 2001, and then in September 2001, while the stupid bastard was probably playing golf or something, he was reading books to school children. After months and months of playing golf, he got the biggest gift that could ever be bestowed on a Republican lunatic, which was the horrific 9/11 attacks. Yeah, the world has been pretty shit ever since. Like, it's been getting shitter, hasn't it? It was all right for a bit, and then 2008 financial bloody collapse, and then we trudged through the next few years getting back on our feet using austerity, which is the shittest. It's the worst way you can possibly get back on your feet, a country back on its feet, is to take money from the poorest people in that society or that country. And then we had the invasion of Crimea in 2014. Then we had the Tory election win in 2015, the outright Tory election win. We were kind of hoping Labour would win, or at least there'll be some kind of deal done with the Lib Dems. But no, it was an outright Tory win. And then, after all those years of austerity and outright Tory win, we had the Brexit vote in 2016 and also George W. Bush. George W. Bush, even worse than his natural successor, got into power in the form of Donald Trump. And that really has set the world on a path to, insanity. Absolute fucking insanity. And that's where we are now. And I'm hoping that this deal today done with the EU over the Northern Ireland Protocol is going to be the first step on the long road back to sanity. That is my hope, because it's been too fucking long. It's been 22 years now. 22 years. Fucking hell. That's too long for things to get progressively shitter and shitter. For the rich to get progressively... sorry, what am I saying? Progressively. For the rich to get richer by orders of magnitude, while the rest of us are still on wages that we were on 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Mortgage has gone up, house prices have gone up, the price of food has gone up, the price of energy is through the fucking roof. What can you do? Anyway, right, I tried to get Kieran, the van driver, on tonight to give us a shout, but apparently he's not feeling so well, so he was going to give us a call. But if you're watching, Kieran, hi, how you doing? Hope you feel better soon, mate. Alexis there says, happy birthday, Graham. EU flag. Some tomatoes and some tumblers, which I think is some shots, maybe. Anyway, so where are we here? Yes, good choice. No Halliburton. What? What does the W stand in for in George W. Bush? Answers on a sweary postcard. It fucking well stands for Walker. Ask me another. Maggie Thatcher's middle name was Hilda. Fun fact. And Richard Nixon's middle name was Milhouse, which is why the character in The Simpsons is called Milhouse. It's you versus me again this Wednesday. Do you think your ginger-led bunch of soppy C units will turn us over at the Emirates, or are you going to get found out for being a second-rate bunch of scouse sites that you are? He's actually put sites there. Yeah, classic illiterate Tottenham fan. I didn't know we were playing Tottenham this week, but there you go. I don't really follow football that much, except to wind Wayne up. He doesn't support Tottenham. Yeah. Anyway, right. So the Bushes come from oil, energy, money. The book, The House of Bush, The House of Saud, details the relationship between the Saudis and the Bush family. Yeah. Well, that's what drove me up the wall at the time about, well, still does, I guess, about the invasion of Iraq. Because to me and my brain, it made no sense. I didn't see the logic. I couldn't see it's like Brexit. If I can't see the logic, I'm not enjoying it. There's a great line by Hitchcock where he said, an audience that is confused is not an audience that is entertained. And he's very right in that. And I hate being confused. I hate not understanding, especially when there's a bunch of morons in the room who are all like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make any sense. No, you just don't believe hard enough. And I get this all the fucking time with like conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. But with this, it was like, I didn't understand how a very rich Saudi, coming from a very rich Saudi family who trained killers, assassins, terrorists in Afghanistan, which at the time was run by this group called the Taliban. Thank God we got rid of them, who were terrible to women and everyone. And then you had this thing where they invaded Iraq, and I was like looking at a map going, okay, well, there's Saudi Arabia, right? There's Afghanistan. Iraq is in the middle of I don't really get it. Like, why are we? Well, because Saddam Hussein's a very bad man. Yep. So is Robert Mugabe. Are we going to invade Zimbabwe? Go, oh, sorry, mate, you're a gobshite. So was Kim Jong-il of North Korea at the time. Did we invade North? No, we didn't. It didn't make any sense to me. And I get this kind of like, it must be like that feeling that you get sometimes, when someone tells a joke and you don't get it, so you don't laugh because you don't get it, but everyone else is laughing and you're just like, you're not quite sure whether you didn't get the joke or whether you're just not smart enough to understand the joke. And I'm sure everyone else in the room who's laughing just looks at you and thinks, oh, they're not smart enough to get that joke. But it might just be a shit joke. Do you know what I mean? It might just be a shit joke. Anyway, right. Wayne's corrected himself and put the word shite. The Bushes come from oil money. I've read that. Oh, Alexis has given me £2 super chat. I mentioned that already. If you want to drop a super chat in for my birthday, there's my birthday tomorrow. It's Global Scouse Day. It's very exciting. When everyone has to eat scouse. I've got my scouse actually on the boil upstairs at the moment. Well, simmering. I don't know about this Waymaker guy. He seems a bit angry at Graham for some reason. He's angry at me because I support Everton and he supports West Ham or someone, Millwall, I think. And he has to hate everyone who doesn't support his team. It's a bit of a weirdo like that. But I love him. I love you, Wayne. Can't wait till Wednesday. Hope we beat you again. Like we did last time. Anyway. Okay, so I'm trying to talk and type of... Right. Okay, Duke Vengeance, I share your concern. Don't worry. Brexit broke Britain. That's pretty good. It did. It did. Whether Halliburton or Enron or anyone, greed is a weapon of mass destruction. It really is. It really is. No, greed is the shittest human trait, I think. And it's sad that we live in a system that encourages it. And that says that greed is good. The Gordon Gekko said in the movie Wall Street, Oliver Stone's Wall Street in 1988, that greed was good because reasons. And that mantra has bled through the ideologues. And now you have people honestly trying to say that there should be billionaires in the world. Bernie Sanders is right. There should be no billionaires. They've got enough money to put a roof over their head for all the holidays they want. They've got enough money to live a life of Riley every day till the day they die. It's enough. $1 billion is enough. Once you get to $1 billion as one human being, I think that should be it. And anything you earn above $1 billion is 100% taxable. That's it. And if you've already got $1 billion, okay, that's great. You can keep that. But anything you earn from now on, that goes in tax. So if you are born with $1 billion in your bank account, any more money you make on top of that can't go to you. It can go to someone else. You know, if you want to spread the wealth, that's good. You know, if you want to work doing your CEO job, which requires you to answer like 2 emails in a day or something, lazy bastards. It's not like working down a mine. I hate it when people go, oh, he worked really hard for his money. You know, especially when they're trust fund babies. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He answered some emails and went to some meetings and did some deals. That's not working hard. That's not like working down a coal mine. That's not like working in a factory, is it? It's not like working, is it? It's just going, oh, hello, hey, let's have a conversation. How is having a conversation working? That's not hard work, is it? You know, you may as well say, oh, I'm brushing my teeth. That was really working because I had to move my hand a little bit. Oh, yeah, you had a conversation. Yeah, but, you know, it was a multi-million-dollar, you know, merger that we negotiate. No, but you literally had a conversation. It's not worth, if you're going to talk about in terms of energy expended by a human being, you haven't worked harder than someone working down a mine. Is my point. But yeah, now $1 billion, I think that's it. That's as much as you can have as a human on this planet. That would be great. Can we just stop it at that? And yeah, you can earn more if you want, but it's 100% taxable. End of. Wankaro. And also, do you know what would be good for that? It would get these bastards out of the upper tiers of the job market in the UK. In the UK, if you want to have a job that pays a 6-figure salary, you better hope to have gone to private school, because if you didn't, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. You're going to face a massive uphill struggle. You have to be incredibly talented or incredibly lucky, or maybe a bit of both, to actually get to that figure. But if you went to a private school, you can be decidedly mediocre, like, I don't know, fucking Matt Hancock, who, you know, is rubbish, is absolutely pathetic, and yet the guy's worth a mint. Helps, doesn't it, being posh? George Wankerero Bush. Love it. Where are we here? Plumduff. Graham, the far-right racist party, made a strike the other day protesting for refugees in front of a Holiday Inn. Hostile, the ugly party, yeah. I know how you feel, Graham, says number 3. Well, thank you. Britain First is the name, I think. Oh, God, not them again. John Barleycorn says, George Bush Sr. has an aircraft named after him. Jimmy Carter has a submarine named for him. Is Jimmy Carter still alive? I know he's in a hospice. He'll be going any day soon. Oh, Betty Boothroyd passed away today. She was the first and still only female Speaker of the House in the 400, 500 years, 600 years history of the British Parliament. Greed is weird. It's all about being king of the castle, I think. Bling status. Yeah. It's sad. It's just, that's... You know what? If what you want to be remembered for is that you were rich, I think that's really sad. Don't you want to be remembered for being a good person and having friends and, you know, just being someone that people wants to hang out with? Yeah, I never really get that. Wayne is Graham, Robbie Williams under this analysis. Okay, all right. I'm not angry, just disappointed. Okay, Wayne's in Pontins, so he's very upset. Yes, I heard Wes Streeting tried to take a shot at Bernie and failed. I brought a jacket off the market down for $5, and after washing it, the bleeding sleeve came off. Sometimes cheap things are expensive. Well, yeah, that's the what's it called? The Rhymes Index, is it? No, I've forgotten what his name is. The guy from Guards by Terry Pratchett, who was talking about his boots. Is it Rhymes? Rhymes' Boots Index? Vimes. The Vimes Boot Index. That's it. Like, you have to buy, because you can only buy cheap boots. You can only afford cheap boots. You have to buy boots every year. Whereas if you're rich, you can buy the finest boots and they'll last you for 10 years. So in the long run, the rich person saves money. True story. Wayne, you can't be the angry on the chat. That's my job. that's Duke. I love it. Give Wayne a break though, Duke, because he is in I don't know, Blackpool or something. So you know, and the weather's a bit crap. Apparently, you can see the Northern Lights tonight across the UK. If it's not cloudy, it's cloudy here in Durham. I play Gary Barlow. Indeed, it's expensive to be poor. I'm good, mate. Love the bants with the Grazzer. Am I the Grazzer now? Oh my god. I'm going to add that to the list. I love the bants, like. There was a concerted GW Bush image. GDW? Where did I get the D from? GW Bush image rehabilitation program going on in the States. It makes me ill. I have friends and family who went to Iraq who were traumatized. He decimated the millennials. He did. He absolutely did. And also he was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis who died in that conflict that didn't need to happen. Do you know what the conflicts that didn't need to happen? There's quite a few of them out there, but that's one that definitely didn't need to happen. They've got this stuff though, haven't they? They've got this stuff. They've got weapons of mass destruction. I'll find them one day, says Boris Johnson. No, not him. Tony Blair. Graham, you know your birthday is the same day, a national day of the Andalusia area. Tomorrow is a day off in the south area of Spain, the Andalusian Day. Yeah, whoa, that's pretty cool. So I'll share with you. So tomorrow is Global Scouts Day, as some of you know. But if you don't know, I'm going to just... what is Scouts for? If I go to nationaltoday.com, so I'm going to send you this link here. This is all about Global Scouts Day. Do you know about Global Scouts Day? Let me know if you know about Global Scouts Day. Number 3 has put in £2. I'll start the money avalanche or snowflake ball. I like the money avalanche better. You get a load of snowflakes together, you get an avalanche. Love it. Plum is to rejoin the EU is the only benefit for the UK. Indeed. I think the Northern Ireland decision is really catching up with Brexit and the beginning of its end. Yeah, and so this is what I wanted to discuss tonight, and this is what I call the show, the long road back to sanity, because one of the other things that was mentioned by Ursula von der Leyen today is that this opens up the door to other agreements or work together on certain things, like Horizon, this massive science project, science funding across Europe. And we've pulled out of it. Like all these scientists in the UK, we used to be the world's cutting edge of science, but because all the funding has dried up now because of Erasmus going, and then that's going to open up doors to allowing EU students to study here without having to necessarily pay the same kind of fees as international students, and that paves the way. Everything has a knock-on effect. So that paves the way to Erasmus being reintroduced, allowing British citizens, British kids to go and study abroad around Europe, and that's not necessarily an EU project, it's just a Europe-wide project. We could be part of Erasmus Plus if we really wanted to be, but obviously we didn't want to be under Boris Johnson because his thing was to pull us out of Europe entirely. And I've forgotten who said it, and it's a real disservice to the person who said it because they're absolutely freaking right. But they said to me, this is the furthest we're ever going to be away from the EU. It was either Femi or maybe Mike Galsworthy. I don't know. One of them. One of that lot from the Remain campaign. He said, this is the furthest we're ever going to be from the EU. And now every step that is taken by our government, and it will be slowly moving back towards the EU. And eventually, yes, we will rejoin. But for many years, the people of Libya had to wait for Colonel Gaddafi to die. For many years in Zimbabwe, the people in Zimbabwe had to wait for Robert Mugabe to die. In Uganda, they had to wait till Idi Amin was chucked out of the country. In Serbia, they had to wait until Slobodan Milosevic was deposed before they could put him on trial. Waiting for one person to cark it. Putin in Russia. If Putin goes, the war goes. That's it. Putin goes, the war is over. But I saw a disturbing report today. I think it was in the Washington Post, maybe, or the New York Post. Well, no, not the New York Post. That's a joke newspaper. Maybe it's the New York Times. And it was about how the war in Ukraine, people thought that Putin would be out on his ear after people started coming home in body bags. People would see the body bags and that would make them go, oh my God, what are we doing here? Let's get rid of this lunatic as our leader. Actually, it's had the inverse effect, and people in Russia are now more supportive of the war than ever. Sunk cost fallacy. Indeed. Northern Lights, is that a Brexit benefit? We can see the Northern Lights and Blighty. Does that mean Jarton and his country folk can sue us for nicking their gimmick? I hope so, mate. It's the only reason you'd go up that north, isn't it? It's bloody cold. There's a town in north of my hometown, Syracuse, New York, called Liverpool. There's also a Liverpool up the coast near Halifax in Nova Scotia. And there's also a Liverpool on the suburbs of Sydney in Australia. C I should do a show where I visit all the Liverpools. Should we do that? Can we fund the show where I visit all the Liverpools around the world for Global Scouts Day? Reading my Mel C book, presumably Global Scouts Day will feature. I don't know. I think it was a bit. I think she was a bit before the time of Global Scouts Day. We need a sketch of a plan to be EU again, working backwards. Yeah, I guess so. The Erasmus programme sounds awesome. It is. And now we're back ago. What a waste of time, indeed. We can block off the sewage outflow pipes, ruining our seas using Rees-Mogg's head. We could do. There was a mad story. Like it seemed like something from The Onion or from the Daily Mash or something. And it was in the Mail yesterday. And it was about this bloke who had found tomatoes growing in the sewage outflow of Britain's beaches. Don't worry about the tomato shortage that we're having, because we can get tomatoes, yay, from the shit. Yeah, absolutely insane. All Liverpools are terrible. I bet all other Basildons are better than the one in Essex. Yeah, I think. Yeah, anywhere on earth is better than Basildon. There is a place in Iran called Shit, and I guarantee that the town of Shit in Iran is better than Basildon. Luke Erasmus is amazing. We told the Leavers Brexit was shooting ourselves in the foot, but using a cannon. But they kept their fingers in their ears, and boom, indeed. Now back we go. What a waste of time, indeed. I'm going to read a little bit from the nationaltoday.com website. I didn't write this. Someone wrote it. Global Scouts Day. This is tomorrow. Is an annual celebration held on February 28th in Liverpool. It's a day that celebrates the maritime city's favourite local dish, scouse. Ask any Scousers, as the Liverpudlians call themselves. I prefer Liverpolitans myself, but, whatever. And they'll tell you that the day is a big deal. Scouse is a beloved stew with recipes passed down through generations. Everyone has strong opinions on their scouse, from consistency to secret ingredients. The only thing that Liverpudlians do agree on is that you should always have scouse with delicious crusty bread, which I will be actually baking tonight. Anyway, history of Global Scouse Day. In the 18th century, a stew called lobscouse was popular with sailors in Northern Europe. They brought the magic along with them to the Liverpool port, where the dish quickly grew to become a staple in homes, inns and pubs everywhere. Soon, the Liverpudlians shortened the word lobscouse into scouse, and since then, scouse has become the winter comfort food of choice for Scousers. So, how did Global Scouse Day begin? The idea first took shape in the home of Liverpudlian filmmaker and television presenter Graham Hughes. That's me. Hughes would host a Scouse supper for his friends every year. When he left for one of his adventures, one of many. In 2008, Hughes' friends thought it might be nice to continue the tradition while he was away. They held a Scouse supper each year on February 28th, which was Hughes' birthday. Little did they know that the Scouse supper would become a quintessentially Liverpool cultural phenomenon. Over time, Scouse became an identity marker, a badge of honour for Liverpool. From an idea for an intimate dinner, Scouse grew into a city-wide event. Hundreds of bars, restaurants and cafes put Scouse on the menus. Football clubs and even the mayor's office joined in the fun. The power of a good idea. Thank you. I keep saying this. I've done all this shit that I've done in my life so far with nothing. Not enough money to actually have to pay tax for income. So when I say nothing, I mean really, really nothing. Imagine what I could do if I had money. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Northern Ireland students still have access to Erasmus, facilitated by the Irish government, which is nice. They do, yes. Another reason why Northern Ireland has got the best of both worlds, because it's part of the UK, but now it's also it is part of the single market and the customs union, effectively. Yeah. Brilliant. Do they have tomato shortages in Northern Ireland? Let me know in the comments. Liverpool is amazing. I was at Limesham Station. S Club 7 reunited at the start. 13th of October, the tour in Liverpool. Be careful with the comment on Liverpool. Might be going to see S Club in Liverpool, mate. In October. True story. Can't be anything worse than Wolverhampton, surely. Probably. Credit to you, Graham. You've achieved a lot of money or not. Yes, it's probably why I'm like, I wouldn't want to be remembered for having money, because I'm like, I wouldn't be. But it was like, I find it interesting that like a certain type of person is very much obsessed with money and how much people are earning and how much money people get for stuff. So I'll give you an example. Like, if someone likes Joe Rogan, or they like a certain football player, or they're like an actor or something, they'll fall over themselves to tell you how much they earned for the last match or movie or podcast or whatever. And it's like, I find it a bit grotesque, talking about money in that way of like, oh my God, this guy's so rich. I'm like, okay, cool, pay some tax. What do you want me to do about it? Do you know what I mean? But I don't see it as a reason to look up to someone, because I know that so many people in our society are not talented at all, but have a lot of money. And they have money because they were born into it. Don't forget when the election comes up, make sure you have ID, because undemocratic Tories are undemocratic. Yes, indeed they are. I was a big fan of Paul from the Beatles. Stop your hurty words. Fatberg, the new capital of Britain. Love it. Shooting ourselves in the foot. Now back we go. What a waste of time. So yeah, we are working backwards. It is kind of a little bit painful. But what can you do? What have we got here? I've always found people from Liverpool really friendly. Oh, thanks, Plum Duff. I think we are as well. And I mean, there are some rougher areas in Liverpool, but speaking personally, I've never had that much of a problem. It's always been, Liverpool, touch wood, so far has always been pretty cool to me. No Graham Paul from S Club. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, but S Club are reforming, aren't they? Aren't they reforming? Wolverhampton and Warsaw are dead. Are they? I don't know. I'm an old fat... What's this? I'm old and fat and told the lady I have a boat. She visibly changed, thinking I have money. Yeah, Plum Duff. Isn't that mad? Like, honestly. That's kind of crazy. Says the man who lives in Durham. Yeah, well, I only live in Durham because I'm with my Scouse girlfriend who came here to study at the university, because they don't allow us into Oxford and Cambridge, so we have to come here. We're really, really clever. It's a canoe, lol. What? What's a canoe? Anyway, right, I'm going to be wrapping up soon, so if you do want to throw some money into the pot, you're very welcome to. Boarded up shops and crime, indeed. Are you talking about? I hope Duke Vengeance is talking about the wonderful situation That is Basildon. But Liverpool's pretty good. Liverpool's pretty good. You know, I'll always sing its praises. I'm actually going to Liverpool on Wednesday. I'm not going to be there for Scouse Day tomorrow because, like I mentioned earlier, the teachers are on strike, so both my stepdaughters are off school, so I'm going to be looking after them. So I'll be going to Liverpool the day after. I'll actually be going to Liverpool on Wednesday, which is the day after. Oh, thank you, Luke. Luke's thrown $10 into the chat fund. Thank you very much, Luke. I really appreciate it. I will buy some birthday drinks with that, or at least one. Well, if I'm going out in Liverpool, I could buy some. If I was going out in London, that would probably cover one drink. Oh, my God. How can people in London afford to live? Like, seriously, like, how can they afford to go and get around and they get no change from a £50 note? How does that happen? Only in London. But yes, last month, St Paul Sod was stabbed to death in the middle of the town. Fucking hell. What? In Liverpool? Well, that might happen. Are you talking about somewhere else? I must have missed it. Inflation. Yeah, indeed. A familiar event, sadly. I believe S Club are doing something, but Hannah won't be part of it. I don't know which one's which in S Club, but Catherine, my partner, is a very big fan of S Club. So we went to see We Are Scientists actually on Friday, which was pretty cool in the Northumbria University Student Union building. And I haven't seen We Are Scientists live probably since the Enemy Introducing Tour of 2006, where they were playing with Maximo Park and maybe the Arctic Monkeys and maybe Mumford & Sons. They're posh bastards. Hate Mumford & Sons. Hey, we're playing a banjo. Oh, we went to 5 at the school. Yeah, piss off, Mumford & Sons. Don't like you. Quote of the day, Otto English. If you think it's over, you really haven't been living in this country the last 7 years. Yeah, that's very true. Daily Blase says, good night all, have a cracking evening. Thanks for watching, Daily Blase. Patrick, I remember S Club on Gay Parade. First Gay Parade in Birmingham. That's from David. In Walsall, Graham. Oh, sorry, Walsall. Sorry, not Liverpool then. Sorry, Graham. I don't get paid till Friday to skip for 2 dinner. That's absolutely fine. Honestly, the cost of living right now, it's not surprising that most people are like, bloody hell. You're looking at your bank balance, going, that would be great if it was if it didn't have that little minus symbol before it. Cheers, Graham. That's from Patrick McCarthy. £2 there. I have no idea who these bands are. Bellowhead is more up my street. Bellowhead? Are they like Machine Head or Radiohead? Or I don't know. Among saying goodnight to Daily Blase. What? How dare you wish me a cracking evening? God arrest him. I have insight into late 90s Zeros bands. Lots of pals from that era. Oh, cool. Well, we need to have a chat about that at some point, Wayne. Cathal dropped €5 into the pot. Great stuff as always. Happy birthday. Thank you very much, Cathal. Thank you very much, Patrick, there. And thanks to Luke. And oh my God, my scroll, the scroll on my thing goes the wrong way. I'll start the money avalanche. That's from number 3. Okay, thanks to number 3 and to Alexis as well, who's thrown some money into the pot. Thank you all so very much. You are bloody awesome. We've got Plum Duff saying happy birthday, Graham, which is kind of cool. Meanwhile, the guards ZZZ. That's from Duke Vengeance. And I have S Club dub in Spanish, bizarre stuff. Sounds good to me. Right, what else have we got here? I guess since Walsall scores -6 on the depression scale, Coventry was similar. Well, Coventry had its cathedral destroyed in World War II, and yeah, it was replaced by some concrete crap. Which people go, oh, it's modernism, it's beautiful modernism, it's beautiful, beautiful modernism. Yeah. What have we got here? Enjoy. Good night. So let's wrap up. I've been on for nearly an hour now. I know I came on a bit late today. So we were talking about the situation in. Oh, hello. Oh wow! Thank you. My glamorous assistant has just handed me some kind of happiness. Can you see that on the screen there? This is my Scouse Lager. This is my Scouse Stout from. It's brewed by the Black Lodge Brewery in Liverpool, and if you look very carefully, just here, you can see the Global Scouse Day logo. Oh, Pat, hang on. Just one moment. One moment. Hi. Can I have a glass? Sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. She's like, I was like, can I have a glass because I want to pour it. Anyway, it's a Scouse Stout. They've kindly given me a couple of cans. So the first one pretty much went in the Scouse that I prepared this evening, and the second one I'm gonna have a drink now for my birthday. I think, you know, if you can't have a drink on your birthday, I thought about this because I've got me tea here, which isn't very exciting. Graham, as ever, fighting to raise post-Brexit morale. Thank you. You're a legend. Thanks, Kat. Night. Night. My little stepdaughter there. Give me a wave. She's up very late tonight, but then the teacher's on strike tomorrow, so she's not going to school, so who cares? There we go. Look at that. This is proper stout. Look at that. Oh, God, there's a terrible head there, Graham. I used to give really good head when I was working at a bar. It's a bit hard, actually, when you're not pouring it out of a tap to get that sort of head beer ratio correctly. Look at that. That's you could put a flake in that. You put a flake in that, lads. Do you reckon I should try and put a little shamrock in that? No, I'm not going to do that. It's not Irish anyway. It's Scouse. There we go. Oh, beautiful. So, so this is it. Some kind of happiness. Can anyone tell me what Beatles song the expression "some kind of happiness" is from? The line, the lyric, "some kind of happiness." Come on, quick! I want to know. Have you liked the stream yet? You better, or else I'll come round to your house and be grumpy and inconvenient. I like that, Duke. That is a really good threat there. Patrick saying thanks for fighting the post-Brexit morale. Well, do you know what? We could think of ourselves as being in the post-Brexit society, but actually we're in the Brexit society. We're not post-Brexit. We will be post-Brexit when we rejoin the EU, which would be a great time to be alive. I hope I'm still alive then. Redhead girls are the best, says Patrick McCarthy. Can't argue with that. Hey Bulldog, I think. Yoni! Well done! That's correct. Hey Bulldog from the Yellow Submarine album. Well done. I'll send you a can, but I've only got one more. Yeah, that's pretty good. When I was putting it into the Scouse earlier, I gave my elder stepdaughter a swig of it, and she went, "Oh!" She's 12, and she was like, "Oh, it's disgusting!" And I went, oh, "Do I look like I'm enjoying myself?" Anyway, right. What is the Scouse flower? I don't know. What is the Scouse flower? I have no idea. I want to know, Ernie. I hope there is a Scouse flower, because that'd be quite cool. I know the live bird is a cormorant, which we get in Liverpool. I prefer cider, says Duke. PTB. Yeah, but they brewed this specially for my birthday. They brewed this for Global Scouse Day. This is the Black Lodge Brewery in the Liverpool Beer Collective. The Black Lodge Brewery is in the Baltic Triangle in Liverpool, and I'll be heading there on Wednesday if anyone wants to hang out. But yeah, that's their beer. They made beer. Oh no, I won't be able to go there on Wednesday. It's not open till Friday. It's opening tomorrow for Global Scouse Day, and you can buy Scouse while you get your beer. But then they don't open again till Friday. Sorry, shit. Okay, PTBD, post-traumatic Brexit disorder. That's about right, mate. That's about right. Scouse flower. Check out the BIM podcast. He's on 3 episodes of it, as is Graham. I don't know who else you were talking about there, Wayne, but yes, I am on a few episodes of the BIM podcast. I'll be on some more, I guess, in the future. You're the guitar player next to 5 Scott. Yes, probably. That sounds about right. Whenever you hear James O'Brien on the radio talking about his mate Wayne in Basildon, that's Waymaker. That's Wayne. Yeah. So he goes to the pub with what's his name, James O'Brien, and James O'Brien goes, I'm very poor. No, that's not very nice. James O'Brien's okay. He's one of the few that is actually all right. Very few. At least he sort of knows that, like, he's very fortunate to be in the situation that he is in. And also, he wasn't born into money because he was adopted. But then you could say that about Michael Gove as well, who was also not born into money. He was also adopted. But there you go. That's just the way it is. Right. So I'm really going to wrap it up now. Thank you very much for joining me for my. I've lost my head now. For my Scouse Stout. I'm going to pour the rest of this probably into the Scouse. I think maybe I'll drink half of it and put the rest in the Scouse. So, big news of the day. There has been an agreement between the EU and the UK on the Northern Ireland Protocol. And essentially this means that it's going to make it easier to move goods around the United Kingdom. Can't believe I'm saying that. It's going to make it easier to move goods around our own country than it was when Boris Johnson told all of his MPs to sign up for a deal that they didn't even read. And one of those MPs was on the radio today, and I heard them say, oh yes, well, maybe this time we'll actually read it. And I wanted to punch the radio to death. It wasn't a radio, it was my phone. It was my radio on my phone. If I punch my phone to death, then I'll be in real trouble because I can't afford a new phone at the moment. But that's not the point. The point is that, oh my God, I hate these people. And was it Jacob Rees-Mogg who stood up in Parliament? Was it Jacob Rees-Mogg or one of the other clanging dickheads who said, well, we don't even need to debate this. We've already debated it enough. I mean, it was Dunkin' Donuts, wasn't it? Ian Dunkin' Donuts, who's not even that posh. He just pretends to be, and gave himself an extra fucking I in his name, Ian, and then he gave himself a double-barrel name. It's not actually a double-barrel name. Duncan is actually his middle name. Yeah. Anyway, so he stood up and goes, oh, well, we've had years to read this thing, so let's not read it. Yeah, which is a bit like saying I've owned a book and I put it on my shelf and I've had it for 5 years, so I don't need to read it now. So, they all voted for Boris Johnson's withdrawal agreements from the EU. And, when he had this 80-seat majority, he could have done whatever he liked with it. And it was awful. It was dreadful. And it put Britain over a barrel in which we couldn't trade freely around our own freaking country. And now we can trade a little bit more freely, but it's still not 100% free. He's saying, "Oh, there's no barriers in the Irish Sea now." Yeah, there's still barriers. If you go through the red lane, there's still barriers. There's still checks to be made. And the way we get rid of these checks for all time is by rejoining the EU, which is something that has to happen. But like the people who are waiting for Putin to die in Russia, and there are still a lot of Russians waiting for that to happen, are the people who were waiting for years for the dictators of other countries, of Zimbabwe, of Libya, of Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, waiting for these tyrants. But Syria, look at Al-Assad in Syria, Al-Assad in Syria, or al-Bashir in Sudan, who finally cocked it last year or so. With Brexit, it's not one person. It's literally millions of boomers who need to go in order for Britain to move forward as a country again, to grow as an economic power, to grow in its stature, to grow in respect for other countries and for other countries to respect it. Respect is a two-way street. If you don't respect other countries, they're not going to respect you. And the worst thing that Theresa May did was to make Boris Johnson our foreign secretary, and he became the personification of Britain all around the world, and he went around insulting every country in alphabetical order. Like a dick. Like an absolute bloody moron. So we're going to be waiting a long time, I think, before Britain is in a place that it should be. A place that it should have been years ago, 13 years ago. Maybe longer, 20 years ago. Let's say 22 years ago, because let's say in 2001, when it all started going horribly wrong, September 2001, up till that point, I was proud to vote for Labour in two elections in 97 and 2001. After the invasion of Iraq in 2003, I wasn't so proud to vote for Labour in 2005. I did because, I knew the guy who was running. But then, it just all... Oh, no, it didn't. Not in 2005. No, I knew the guy in 2010, sorry. And to be fair, Labour did have a new leader then. Yeah, 2005 was an awkward election. It was a real hold-your-nose election. for Labour. And they only got about 37% of the vote. So they got a really small proportion of the vote, but because of first past the post, they won, of course. And then we have, the last 13 years of Tory blundering from one idiotic scheme to another. Lenny from Mice and Men. That's what it is. It's just, just one disastrous criminal enterprise to the other. Damn the rest of us. And I'm just hoping, because, I'm an eternal optimist. I am. My glass is more than half full. I do think that there is room for things to get better in this country, in this world, if we make it. And it's up to us. Because one thing I learned in this life is, if you want something, no one's just going to knock on your door and give it to you. You have to make it happen. And we have to make this happen. And we have to stop lying down and taking it when the government decide that we're going to be paying an extra 500 quid a year on our already insanely expensive energy bills. We shouldn't be taking this. We should be standing up for our rights and for ourselves and for our dignity. I mean, at least stand up for your family, stand up for your bank account, your house, your mortgage that you're going to lose if we don't get rid of these tyrants in charge who haven't got a clue, who think it's acceptable for British Gas and BP and Shell to make disgusting profits on the war in Ukraine, in which over 800 children have died. They think it's okay to make profits out of that. Mad profits. The biggest profits these companies have ever seen in their respective histories. And who's paying that? Who is this? Who is there at this moment of this insane transfer of money, of wealth, from us, normal people, to the energy companies and the energy suppliers and the fossil fuel companies, these companies that are destroying the planet with their energy, that they're trying to supply their dirty, filthy energy. And I guarantee that not one of those Tory bastards who are in charge right now are going to die in poverty. Not a single one of them is going to do a Mozart. And I'll tell you why. Because they are all in cahoots with the energy companies, with the fossil fuel companies, with the merchants of death. And they're going to get kickbacks for what they've done to this country, what they've done to us, all that money that they've taken off us and given to these shareholders of these mad multinational companies who just exist to make money. They just exist to make money, not to make the world a better place, not to help anyone, not to give us any services that we couldn't get somewhere else. No, just to make frickin' money, as much money as possible. And we need a morality shift in this country, and I think it's coming. And one of the things that gives me hope, and I'm going to leave you with this, as I leave also my 43rd year tonight. One thing that gives me hope is that poll after poll after poll is showing that millennials, Gen Z, Generation Z, and also the younger Generation Xers are becoming more left-wing as they get older, not less. And that changes things. That changes things massively. So, hopefully this is a turning point. What can I say? If the deal was oven ready, only if you're in crematorium. Graham, I'm back Friday. I'll call you then. Yes, please do. I'm helping me mate move stuff in Manchester on Friday. So yeah, I'll be driving a van, like lugging stuff around. Oh man, I've got to stop saying yes. Just stop me. Someone just say, when someone asks you to do something, it is acceptable to say no sometimes. I'm just like, no, I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. Wayne, don't tell me, Christina Aguilera, what? The deal was oven ready. Yeah, I've read that. Boomers and their acolytes. I know twats in their 50s that tell me the generation after them, we don't know we are born. I know. It's just the boomers who had it all. Who had it all and threw it away. They had it all and ripped it all up. The people who bought a house for £2.50 and then sold it for £500,000. And they feel like they're the fucking victims of something. They're the victims. What are you the victims of? Woke! What does that even mean? I don't know, but I've been told I'm a victim of it. Okay. King Charles I, King Charles II, 11 years. We're halfway there. Yes, indeed. The days of Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell. Yeah, they were great, weren't they? How many Irish people died when Oliver Cromwell rampaged across their island? Boomers who probably retired in their early 60s and spent years having what's left of their brain drained watching daytime TV. Yeah, but also, Duke, there were so many toxins in the air in the 1900s. Like, I honestly believe that a lot of people who are older now, a lot of the mental health problems that they have and their difficulty with critical thinking and understanding really simple concepts comes from the fact that you had this huge amount of stuff that we built things out of, carcinogenic shit. We built stuff out of asbestos, for God's sake. We brought in air conditioning units and didn't even know about Legionnaire's disease. We brought in the nuclear bomb, and we did testing all over the world, and basically there's radiation levels, the background radiation levels of the world increased substantially in the 1950s, so people got this extra radiation, and obviously radiation is not good. It causes mutations of cells, because every time your cell splits there's a chance that it might mutate, and that usually leads to a cancer, and that's why radiation is so cancerous. That's why you get skin cancer if you sit in the sun too long, because the sun is radioactive. You're sitting basically in the fire of a radioactive blast in space, which is a bit of a weird thing to do if you think about it, but that's what we do. Whatever. They put lead in paint at the time. They put lead in toys. They put lead in petrol. Lead is really bad for you. It messes you up. They gave out chemistry sets to kids who, when they were boomers, when kids were boomers in the 50s and 60s, they could buy a chemistry set that had radioactive materials in them. I mean, there were so many things that were injurious to the health, physical health and mental health of that generation. And everybody smoked. People smoked on the bus, people smoked at work, people smoked at home, people smoked in the pub, people smoked in the clubs, people smoked in the crematoriums, people smoked in the churches. Everybody smoked. People smoked in the in the courtrooms, people smoked in the jails. You couldn't get away from the toxins in cigarette smoke. You just couldn't get away from it. And I genuinely believe that there is an entire generation of people, and not all of them, obviously, that'd be a bit unfair, but enough of them have had their brains by the chemicals, the toxins in the air when they were growing up and when they were, in their prime. I genuinely believe that. And I want to believe that because I don't want to believe that a generation is a generation of sociopaths just for the hell of it. I want to think there's a good reason, a scientific reason, why the boomers in particular are a bit nuts. Anyway, people smoked in offices. It was normal, says Patrick. I know, it's mad. Lead in gasoline. I mentioned that. Lead in petrol at street level, for example. Boomers grew up best time economically. It's much harder for people to live nowadays. Indeed. Like, if you look at how much an average mortgage cost based on how much the average earning was, it was only a few times what people earned. Now it's like 33 times what people earn. It's like insane amounts. And the amount of money that you spend each month on your rent or your mortgage has gone up from something like 9% to 33%. Yeah. Anyway, yes, I'm going to bed. Sorry, mate. I'm getting shouted at by Wayne. I feel like I'm getting shouted at by Kat, but through Wayne. We've got another episode of You tonight to watch tonight. Yes, I know that we should be watching The Last of Us. We'll start that next week. Right. Thank you so much for joining me on this special birthday edition. Almost birthday. Leading up to my birthday. Of The War on Error. And I will be back on Wednesday with Prime Minister's sweary PMQs. Hopefully Ben Chambers from 16 Million Rising will be joining me. He will be here. I'm going to try and coax him down into the studio. If he comes on, that would be great because we can watch it together. And it will be like Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets watching PMQs, but a bit more sweary. So hopefully I'll see you for that. 12 o'clock on Wednesday. Take care. I love each and every one of you. Thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you to all of my wonderful patrons out there and my YouTube members. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.